This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska.
And welcome back to the Hunt Nebraska cabin. Boy, this is our first time we are recording this for the new year, but it seems like we've been here for quite some time.
So here's what happened, folks. We just gave you what I would call one of our best podcasts ever. It was amazing.
Pretty good.
I mean, we were rolling on the floor laughing at some of the stuff that was coming off this table until our good friend Michael Addison over here informed us he did not hit the record button yet. So round two.
Sorry, folks. It's lost history.
So if you're watching us on the YouTube, Michael Addison, currently with the National Wild Turkey Federation here in the state of Nebraska. Currently, the Jeff Rawlinson Nebraska Game and Parks. We have back
popular demand.
Yeah, Kayla McKay, now with Pheasants Forever.
Yes.
Now, have you been back into the cabin recording for Hunt Nebraska since you took that position?
I don't believe so. I think maybe in the beginning there was one or two episodes that I still helped with, but after that, I moved to that work from home position, and it's pretty comfy at home. Stay in my pajamas all day, living the life.
More comfortable in the cabin here?
Yeah, I mean, we got a fire over there. We got bacon and eggs on the skillet over there.
They smell amazing, yes.
Yeah, this ain't bad. Ain't bad. So, well, we'll have to renegotiate that contract, figure out how to get you in here on a more consistent basis.
All right.
There you go. I'm Hershey, also with your Nebraska Game and Parks, and we're going to jump into kind of a topic here. We're hoping to get this out yet this week. We're going to make it a really short podcast, but we wanted to get something down. We're already into 2024. How's the year going for you guys so far?
Oh, fantastic.
We got snow. I love snow. Snow's
pretty
good.
We've noticed. You're into the snow stuff. We got birds coming down finally.
Snow.
We got geese.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. A lot
I
of places freezing up.
I heard geese shoveling my driveway last night at like 7:30.
Did it help that task go a little bit better?
No. About the top inch and a half was not stuck. The rest of it was stuck. So I just tried to clear off the top layer, and that's about it.
Now, this is the second meaningful snow we've had this winter, I would say. And both of them kind of followed the same, pattern. Started out rain, real wet stuff coming down. And, Jeff, I like how you described the snow a couple of days ago. Do you remember what you said?
Nope.
It's coming down like a white rain.
Oh, it was like a white rain.
I mean, you could see the white flakes, but a lot of times early on, they'd hit and just splash.
It was a wet snow, followed by a drier snow, and it did wreak a little havoc on the roads. There's no question about that. I think road crews did an incredible job staying on top of it, but it wreaked a little havoc on the roads there. But the thing is now, I think that snowstorm was all the way up into the Dakotas as well, and probably in parts of Canada, because we're seeing birds coming down that were way up north, and now they're starting to move in. That's a positive thing.
That is good. I know that there's some late season deer hunters out there, perhaps right now with one of those antlerless permits, the season's choice permits, or maybe a river antlerless private lands permit. Cold weather, snow usually helps the deer hunting. Now you can get to the extreme where they don't want to move in it as well, especially if it gets super windy. However, it does make that demand for food and getting out there and bedding close to the food sources sometimes even a little bit more important. So they're active during the day, during when they can get that heat, so that they're not burning too much calories, staying warm while they're consuming food. So that can be a good thing, making them active during the shooting hours. You still got a little bit of late season pheasant hunting, and where they didn't get too much wet snow, it's probably a good thing. You guys got some hunting plans then for the next few weeks?
Planning on a mentor deer hunt, hopefully this weekend. It'll be a little cold, but I'm sure we'll stay warm, hopefully, maybe. We'll see. We'll find out how warm we stay.
And before we get to Jeff, because he's kind of probably tipped his cards on what he's going to be doing, Michael, you going to get out?
I'll also be on a mentor deer hunt this weekend.
Look at that.
So, yeah.
Look at that. Jeff?
You guys were asked to go on a mentor deer hunt? Nobody asked me.
I was, surprisingly.
Standing invite.
Yeah, as long as we don't run out of propane. I'm a goose hunter.
Yes, you are. Isolate that. We're going to need that later.
Yeah, for the weekend.
I am a goose hunter.
But we'll see. I always, I maintain I'm a deer hunter that just happens to be doing a lot of waterfowl hunting these last 15 years, and I use a lot of deer hunting tactics for waterfowl. That's why I don't shoot it. But anyway,
grunting at the geese works really good, Jeff.
Yeah, I use a grunt tube. The geese are in town, and we'll be out there chasing them.
Well, we're definitely in the late season, regardless of what you're chasing right now, folks. But one of the things that we're going to talk about, because we're looking at the forecast, and right now we woke up to a balmy, 12 to 15 degrees, depending on where you woke up this morning, which is kind of chilly compared to what we've had. I mean, you just think back to Christmas Eve morning, right? What was it, like 50?
Yeah. Oh, it was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So, yeah, some people loved it, and others were like me. It was like, oh, my God. And then we had a white Christmas. All of a sudden, it just turned around, boom,
made it.
And snowed right on Christmas Day.
Just made it, which I will toss out there. In December, snow. Oh, man, everyone's just kind of,
it's just pretty, isn't it?
Just, that looks right. It looks like the holidays. Everything's decorated. Oh, it looks nice and white out there. Come January.
Yep, not so.
Snow.
Yeah.
Come February, it's just like, there's bad words and then snow.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Why do we still have snow?
In February, I'd send pictures back to my family in Texas, and, oh, look at this beautiful snow. It's just like a wonderland. And then in January, it's the same thing. And here's pictures, more of that stinking snow. By February, it's like, yeah, they're not seeing the beauty of it either, and they're in Texas.
Now, the Christmas snow, for the most part, didn't stick around very long. We warmed up pretty quickly. Several days later, it disappeared. However, this snow, a little bit more of it might be around for a while, because you guys have been watching the forecast then. We're talking cold weather. We're dipping down into, I don't know if I'd say seasonal. I believe it's actually below our average for this time of the year. But this weekend, I brought this up. This is Grand Island, Nebraska, from Weather Underground, the 10-day forecast. Let's start Friday night, because you guys are going on this minter hunt, and you guys are going to be meeting some of the mentees and their parents that evening. -4. Saturday, it gets to a balmy 0, and we're talking Fahrenheit.
Okay. I was going to ask if that's Celsius.
Oh, yeah. We're 0.
If only.
And Saturday night, -16. Then it warms up to -6. Is that like a 10 degree?
-6.
Yeah, I was
10
gonna
degree
say.
shift to -6. And then Sunday night, -16, you guys will be in. Doesn't warm up until getting to the plus side until Monday, where it hits a high of 1 degree and then drops back below 0 for a while, which is cold. Which is just plain cold.
If there's a breeze with that -16, that's in the dangerous category. Yeah, that's chilly.
Even if there isn't, that's well below booger freezing.
Oh,
temperatures right there.
Eye freezing, booger freezing. I mean, that's just, and not only that, but that's the type of temperature when you're walking, if you're overexerting yourself and you're getting that in your lungs, and it starts to hurt after a while. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep that going in your lungs. So,
and it's especially dangerous if you're exercising, walking, that sweat that you develop, that can freeze momentarily and make it even more dangerous.
Then you start getting the old chills and everything. So so that's why I don't exercise. But anyway, so therefore, I think that you take some precautions. It's totally doable. Yeah. I say it's in the dangerous category only if you're not prepared. If you're prepared, we hunt in -10, -20 all the time. I mean, that's just not the end of the world.
Let's go there. I've got 2 big questions on this short podcast, folks. We're going to talk about your tips, tricks, tactics for staying warm when it's cold outside. But question I'm going to ask first is, what is the coldest temperature you guys remember actually hunting in? What were you hunting and we're going to have to ask, how did it go?
I'll go first. It was when I was just first hunting. I don't know how old I was. We had this little tiny A-frame pop-up, the one that you have to like twist it to get it down into the little circle, with my dad. And it had to have been single digits, maybe double digits. And I remember shoving my face in the hole of the little window so that the inside of the blind would stay warm. And it was only my face that was looking out the window. Otherwise, that wind coming in, it was just so cold in there.
Wait a sec. You used your head to plug the window.
Sure did.
That's using your head.
Yep.
That's using your head.
I see what you did there.
Yep. Took one for the team, didn't you?
I sure did.
That's awesome. That's a good hunting buddy right there.
So did your dad say, Kayla, stick your head in that window? I'm getting cold. How'd that?
So it was the second day day we were hunting, and the second day was a lot colder, and I was like, it's so cold. And I just like, I guess, put my face in the window of, I'm just, I don't know. I was a little kid.
Your face was freezing, but your body was warmer. So
Yeah.
you're like, this is great. I'm losing consciousness, but this is great. And that's probably before bud heaters that were in the blinds.
Yeah. Nope,
this is
we
just
didn't have those.
shiver temperature is all
Yeah.
you could get. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little hot hands.
Only heat generated was hot hands and shivering. Yeah,
Yes,
I remember that. Yep.
And our blind was so little, there was no way we could fit a buddy heater in there. I mean, sitting in a chair like this, just barely leaned forward, and my head was out the window. So it's not like the big double bowls we have now that. Did
you see a deer?
We did, but it was pretty far off.
Frozen?
And it was running.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, when somebody's nose freezes off and falls to the ground, it's usually not only a bad side for the hunter, but the deer, I think, are scared away by it as well, because everything's just a little bit louder out there. All right, Michael, what's the coldest time you've been out that you recall?
Probably in the teens. I can remember hunting with snow on the ground a couple times, deer hunting, but not much success in those hunts.
It can be kind of tricky at times, right? We said, well, I'm trying to remember if we said it this time we're recording or last time when we weren't recording, but critters usually have to get up and move around. If they're not going into some type of state like raccoons where they can den up for several days, or skunks where they disappear for a little bit longer, if they're an animal like a coyote or a deer that they're going to be active throughout, they have to stoke that internal furnace even more. So they're out there searching a little bit more for food, and sometimes doing it a little bit more during daylight hours when it's warmer, so they're not expending as much energy staying warm while they're out there. They're moving about, because their type of food and hunt, or whatever you want to call it, is a little bit less active sometimes than our own. So when it's really super cold, they're tucked in some place as well. But what makes it tough for us is we're moving, we're shaking, we're trying to stay warm. We're have a harder time staying concentrated as well. So, Jeff, what's the coldest you recall?
It was in that probably minus 15, minus 20 range, and it was windy, and I was call out predator hunting, and we'd seek out those temperatures. I mean, if it's going to get really, really cold, we'd seek out those temperatures. Yeah, and I can tell you this, the challenge of predator hunting, unlike anything else, is you're going to be out and about. You're not going to be hiding in a blind or anything. You're going to be in the elements. And so you've got to dress like you're going to be sitting out in the elements. And so you put on, and I remember, packing on, the boots, the bibs and everything, and all these different layers. And you kind of feel like that, the Michelin man at a while, because you can't hardly move. And you're walking, you got maybe a half-mile hike to get to the first calling site. Now you're hot and sweaty a little bit. So you unwrap your face and, so you can get a little bit of air in there. So it gets kind of uncomfortable at times doing that, but and you sit down and call. Now back then I'd only call for about 20 minutes, and then I'd move on. So you didn't get time to get too cold, but you got time to get a little clammy and cold. But when that wind's blowing like that, if you don't have the right stuff on, it's dangerous. I mean, downright dangerous.
It definitely can be, and we'll get into that just a little bit. I recall a few times on pheasant hunts where I shouldn't have been out there. Boy, it was darn right. Not just cold, but scary cold. But one deer hunt in particular sticks out in my mind. One December day when my dad dropped my brother and I off to get into this valley, and against Mom's wishes, we went deer hunting. Dad wasn't able to. I can't remember if he was working or what. But it was in the middle of a blizzard. It was blowing from the northwest, 20, 30 miles an hour. The wind chill was hovering between 30 and 40 below, but we had to go deer hunting because we had the opportunity, and deer season was on. And we figured this, like you said, Jeff, going to concentrate the deer and get them out of the wind. And we had an idea of where they were, and we did. We saw lots of deer. But what I'll never forget, Kayla, is Dad, after he dropped us off and drove away, he said later on, he didn't tell us this for quite some time, but he said, there was a part of me that thought I might have just watched my sons walk off into the snow and disappear and be the last time I'd see him. And he never told us that, and he never said anything to Mom. But he said,
smart, Dad.
He realized that this isn't smart. There's no place where this is a good idea. Luckily, neither one of us shot a deer. We saw plenty. I mean, we didn't even have to get into the valley, and all of a sudden we found deer that were looking for food and were up and active and all that type of stuff. But I don't know what we would have done. It would have taken quite a while because it was at least, I don't know how many 100 yards from the road because we couldn't pull off into the field. The area was so drifted with snow. But it would have been something else. And just like you said, Jeff, all that sweating and then cooling off and having to field dress a deer and then drag it out and then wait by the side of the road in the wind would have been something else. But that one sticks out quite a bit. But we survived.
Yeah,
We've got great stories.
Boss story.
Mm-hmm.
Boss
We got
story.
great stories out there. The time that I went pheasant hunting and was prepared for it, the birds froze. We harvested some roosters. They were quick flash frozen. I mean, they were already getting frosty by the time the dog was bringing back. They were frozen to the game bags by the time we got to the truck, and we actually had to take them inside to thaw them so we could clean them.
That's
It
cold.
took about a half a day to unfreeze the birds. But my worst one, Jeff, was not so much when it was super cold, but we definitely had wind chill. I just wasn't ready for it. And that's when I went through, nearly froze my ears off and all that type of stuff, chasing birds in just a ball cap and at about 20 below or so. But it been out there colder, but I was more prepared for it. And that's what we got to talk about here.
Because pheasant hunting, you can't start off like a deer hunt. If you start off in everything you own on, which is comfortable when you first get out of the truck, by the time you walk a field, you're going to be dying. I mean, I don't care how cold it is. You cannot start off like that. So therefore, it takes a little bit of a different thinking when you're pheasant hunting versus, sitting in a deer stand or what have you.
So that brings number 2 question up is, what do you do to stay warm? Let's start with the more sedentary. We'll start deer hunting, goose hunting, that type of thing. Then we'll get into pheasant because you're exactly right. When you're up there moving, that's a whole different ball.
Oh yeah, I and shiver furiously, and that seems to help.
And shiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sit and shiver. Sometimes I stand and shiver,
and
but
shiver.
Yeah. Sit and shiver.
Enunciation.
Although that would be a whole different show, right? How do you when nature calls and it's 20 below, what do you do?
Oh, folks, it's a great thing that we have editing.
I don't think it's going to catch that one.
Oh boy! And this is right after we released that bad Christmas joke one with Hunter saying the word poop all the time. So anyway, but there are ways to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that I think that there's a tolerance to it that you build to, and one I'm going to toss out real fast, folks. If it doesn't sound like it's fun going out and that stuff, it's fun to challenge ourselves, and that can be part of it. But if you're not going to be comfortable in it, and you're not going to have fun in it, don't go.
Doesn't make any sense.
Don't go.
And honestly, Hershey, I'm totally honest with you. We both have hunted in bone chilling cold weather, but the most uncomfortable cold I've ever been has not been those minus 20 coyote hunts or minus 15 coyote hunts. The most uncomfortable I've ever been, I've been those 30-some degree, even a 40-degree day when it was cold and rainy and kind of and windy, and I wasn't dressed completely for it because it's like 40 degrees. And I have literally felt like I was going to freeze to death in that weather. And then you go out, 60-degree swing, and hunt, but you're ready for it. And it's amazing. It's not near as uncomfortable as it was with that 35, 40-degree day.
So preparation's
key. And I can tell you right now, how many of us in the morning, we jump out of bed, we're going to go hunting, and we just throw on, grab a few things, throw on, and whatever's left in the truck, and we're going to throw that on, and we head out to the field. That might work at 30 degrees on a nice sunny day. That won't work at 0, -5, -10 on a windy, breezy day. So it takes preparation, and that is the layering system. You've heard people talk about layering all the time. It's critical when it's that cold out. You're not just going to put on a heavy parka over a t-shirt and stay warm. And so that starts. And Kayla, you hit the when you talk about sweating and that kind of thing. Yeah, you're going to sweat if you're not sweating. You're pretty lethargic. You're not doing much of activity, but you're going to sweat going out to your stand or what have you. So we're talking deer hunting, we're talking stand hunting or what have you. Base layers that wick moisture away from the skin are incredibly important. Cotton is not your friend. Cotton will, they say cotton kills. I don't say that, but cotton will make you very uncomfortable and it can be dangerous. So you're talking fleece or polyester type materials, synthetics, silk can work very well. Some of these wool blends that are just as soft as fleece. it can work very well. But generally speaking, I'm starting off with an Under Armour type material, silky type shirts and long underwear. I'm starting off with something like that, and then I'm heading from there. I'm going to start putting layers of fleece over that, or wool, and then then I'm going to a bigger, heavier layer that's going to be something that I don't mind the moisture getting into that layer as much, but I certainly don't want it against my skin, and so I'm going to transport that away as best I can. So thinking in those types of layers is important. Yeah, and one thing that's really helped me over the years is you can put on all kinds of, t-shirt as a base layer, long sleeve shirt, then over the top of that's either fleece or a very, soft wool. And then a sweat, a Under Armour type material, sweatshirt type of layer, a vest over the top of that, and then putting on my heavier parka. I can tell you from there, that vest can be critical sometimes because it just keeps the core that much warmer. Just that little added layer of a fleece vest of some sort. But all designed, don't put trapping layers in the middle. All designed to wick moisture away from the heat source.
And that's an excellent point, because we all have probably in the last 24, 48 hours been out shoveling snow, moving snow with the blower, whatever it might be. And we probably didn't follow that advice. I know when I go to shovel, it's kind of grab a hoodie, put something over on the top of that, what have you. Out you go. I might have I got a kind of bib overalls that I oftentimes throw over whatever pants that I'm wearing, whether that's sweatpants, blue jeans, what have you. Miserable. Absolutely miserable by the time you get done, whether it's from the sweat, just kind of getting caught in all that cotton, or on Monday, it was that snow still coming down at times because I was shoveling at the very end of the driveway so I could get out. And, it's wet. It's a wet snow, so it's soaking that hoodie back there.
Yep.
And nothing feels better than getting out of those wet cotton clothes, where a lot of times that base layer, you guys have been there, you're comfortable, but you take off, like you said, another layer on top of that, and you're like, man, I must have really been sweating. This was something else. And you realize I didn't have to put up with that by my skin, which is not only uncomfortable, but it makes you cold because your body feels wet, cold beside it. Guess what it's going to do? It's going to try to evaporate. It's going to burn energy trying to get away with that. So,
Yep.
But the other thing I found, and Jeff, I know you're probably not a big fan, I got to have something around my neck. I like
I like zip-ups.
the bottom layer, base layer, whatever you want to call them. I call them long johns, that have a little zipper, almost not mock turtleneck right up there. It's amazing how that little zip here and there.
You said I might not like that. What do you mean, like fat kids don't like something around their neck, or what?
Well, I didn't say anything about what type of kid.
I do like having that layer.
But,
I like having a that keeps
that's
a
pretty
lot
cool.
of heat in.
So what are some other trips and ticks? Layering is definitely a big thing. That's, if you're going to be warm, you're going to be layering is what's going to happen. But we've kind of come up with some other tricks and tips and tactics for staying warm over the years.
I think a warm beverage. Get your old school Stanleys out, the thermoses.
Bingo.
Not the new ones that's causing all the craze.
Yes, yep. And fill them with hot chocolate, hot tea, coffee, whatever you want, because drinking something warm will, again, help warm that core up. And just taking that warm liquid and putting it out towards your outer limbs and warming your blood and just warmth, any warmth you can get.
I couldn't agree more. But then you got to pee. That's something to think about. But I couldn't. Which
since you broached the subject,
it's not easy when you got 10 layers to get through. So, but you got zip and unbuttoning and zip and So,
no,
but yeah.
But that is the fight we've all had, isn't it?
Oh my!
Uh-oh, I gotta pee. I gotta pee. And folks, if it's cold outside and you gotta pee, do it appropriately in the right spot in the designated location, whatever it is, getting through all those layers. Use a string, whatever you need to do, but do, because the one thing you notice is after you empty the bladder, you're warmer already. Your body burns energy keeping that full bladder at 98.6 degrees or whatever your body temperature might be, and that burns up energy as well. As soon as you empty it out, it's got one less drain on that heat. It is important.
And you're just more comfortable because you're not trying to wiggle and stay quiet.
Yeah, it is kind of a miserable feeling when you're standing there and it's just 0 degrees and you're cold as can be, and you gotta go to the bath. You gotta pee, but you can't because you're cold and you don't want to go out there. But I can tell you right now, you're right. Once you do that, that warms you up. The coffee is cool though. I tell you right now, I've been so many hunts where just freezing, and you just get the thermos out and pour a cup of coffee and oh my gosh, it's a brief.
You can feel it go through your body.
Oh, you can.
And if you're using hot chocolate, folks, proven fact, marshmallows in the thermos help.
Increases the temperature by 2 degrees. Yep.
Yeah, and smiles by at least 15%, to say the least. What do you got, Michael?
A good pair of socks and boots is always crucial. But don't get boots that are too small for your feet. You got to leave a little room in there. Leave some heat circulation in there too. Don't get boots that are you're cramming your feet in. Just get a thick pair of socks and boots that are maybe just a little too big normally, but give you some room for that air to circulate.
Now go a step further there, because that's critical. I think the feet.
Did you? I got that. I see what you did. Go a step further
go a step
with the
further.
feet. Well, I was just gonna say, I one thing I struggle with is getting rid of socks. There are certain socks I like, and I keep them, and pretty soon socks are one of those things that I think lose their insulation. There's a certain point where all of a sudden you've crunched it all down. Yeah, it's got wool in it. It's got this type of material. It's got insulated, but it's that pile in there that definitely helps and makes things happen. I agree as far as having a little extra space. You got to be able to wiggle your toes. I like a little bit more. And I think what you're alluding to, Jeff, is the bottom end of your boots as well. And I think manufacturers gotten a little bit better. There used to be a lot of boots folks that were well insulated on top, but very little underneath. So you'd be sitting on the cold ground. You'd be sitting in a cold blind, whatever it was, and your feet would still get cold because the coldness and what is that, Jeff? What type of heat transfer is that? Conduction? Your feet are getting cold from whatever it's touching, whether it's metal, whether it's ground, whether it's snow, and you need something underneath. And that's why those pack boots that we grew up with, those moon boots as well, had some insulation underneath. Pretty darn warm.
Yeah, those were pretty good. Yeah, and I can tell you right now, it might be the spring or summer when they have the hot hands on sale and the boot ones that are the shape of an entire foot.
Yep.
Buy those by the 20 pack. And I'm going to tell you right now, you throw those inside of a boot and put your foot in there and lace them up and go outside.
It's a game changer.
I rarely ever have to worry about cold feet. I don't care how cold it is. I rarely worry about that once I put those in that hot hands boot warmer in there.
So we might have some folks that are listening or watching us on YouTube. We appreciate you guys doing that again. Grams of Thinsulator, insulation. You see that 400 grams, 1,200, 1,000. What does that all mean? And when we're talking cold weather, what is that magic number?
Oh, all of them.
Because they're just...
I want all the grams.
A lot of times we just look at that, that's a number.
Again, I'm telling you, what you said was important because there's still boots out there, low-end, cheaper boots that have very little insulation under the foot, right? So I don't care how many grams to insulate, but, so buy the best you can afford when it comes to boots. But, you get over 1,000, that's kind of my benchmark for cold weather boots. 1,200, 1,500, 1,600, even better. But there comes a point, you can get 2,000, but they look like little balloons on your feet, and they're not that easy to walk around in. But in that 1,200 is pretty darn good if you're wearing the right socks, as Michael alluded to, and don't be afraid to stick a heater down in there.
Yeah. This type of weather, there are some rubber boots that are warm, but some of them you got to be careful. If you're not getting a lot of some of the neoprene ones, I know. My feet start sweating in at a certain point, and it doesn't matter. It's going to get that sock wet. It just kind of loses the insulation. But some good stuff there. Definitely have some good warm boots. Now, you brought up those instant foot warmers, those insoles. That's a godsend. When they came out with the hand warmers, I was just like, wow, and they last for several hours. And then they came out with the little toe ones, which are great. The big ones, they came out with those several years ago, but not all that long ago. They started putting adhesive on the one side of them. And we're going to be putting those to use at the Last Chance Deer Camp quite a bit this weekend. Folks, if you haven't done this, you've got to try it. Get those big ones with the adhesive. I think they're called body warmers or something. And stick it right on your lower back. Now, don't put it right up against the skin. Put that base layer on and then put this on top and all your layers on top of it. And it's right over that kidney area, lower back, or that kind of tightens up when it gets super cold. When you lean back, you'll feel it extra, but it is actually there heating and doing some great stuff. It is a godsend. Now, I've heard some others. Gary Brunberg, our good friend and one of our master bow hunter ed instructors, he talks about making sure you got some heat sources right over your femoral arteries on both of your thighs. And he talks about getting some hand warmers that are positioned right in your pockets, or adhesive-wise would work too, right over there as well. But those things are relatively cheap. Like you said, Jeff, they oftentimes go on sale, but even at full price, those can make or break.
Yeah, if you're talking $3 for a hunt, all the stuff you've put into a hunt, $3 for a couple of boot warmers is not a hard bargain to stay comfortable all morning long.
Pretty simple.
So for Christmas, and my husband got this idea from our really good hunting friends that we got this for them for their wedding. He got me reusable heater things.
Yeah,
it's basically the same thing. And for those of you who are older, you might remember like the gel packets that have the coin in it. And you bend the coin.
Remember that.
And it warms the whole thing up, and then you just boil it. And we've been using those, and they're really good. We like using those, and we don't have to worry about getting more hot hands. We can just boil them, reuse them.
Now, I have not ventured into the rechargeable foot warmers, but they have those rechargeable foot warmers now that you have a little remote control and click, and I want a little warmer, click, and but those intrigue me.
Well, if they work anything like heated seats in vehicles, we've all been exposed to heated seats, haven't we? Mm-hmm. Is there, once you're in a vehicle that doesn't have it, it's like, my back's cold. My leg, my butt's cold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the heated seats are just awesome.
So I got to assume those insoles, similar, heat coming up.
And they make the same things for vests, right? You can get heated vests, even jackets, but I like the heated vest. That's a kind of a game changer, too. You put a little battery cartridge in there after you've recharged it, and buy 2 or 3 others.
Just don't forget it at home. That's another thing.
Or don't forget to charge the battery. That has always been my downfall in some of those things. But, man, you got that heated vest on, because the whole point of putting all this crap over you is to keep the heat in your body, keep it from escaping. And anything you do to generate more heat is going to be good at your core. And those heated vests, man. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, something else I learned at Last Chance Deer Camp. Don't believe everything you hear or read on the internet. I was convinced one of the parents of the youngsters taking part in that season-ending deer camp said that he'd read online, pointed out where it was, you could recharge those little hot hand warmers in a microwave. That it kind of resets them. It doesn't work.
Does not reset.
Doesn't work. At least not real well. You're microwaving something, which is bound to get warm, but there's a certain point where they do pop. And then they make a mess in the microwave. So,
and then you're in trouble.
How many minutes is that, Hershey?
And then, you might as well just throw it away. It's above 3 from what I remember, because it was going well, and you took it out like, first minute, that is kind of warming up. We'll put it in second minute. It's like, man, maybe it does work. Third minute, it's just like, And somewhere soon after that,
where can we go from here?
While you're standing in front talking to the group, doing some orientation and welcome, it's kind of
there's powder everywhere.
No dodging it. Aaron, your hand warmer's done.
Aaron, your hand warmer blew up the microwave.
Yeah. But now, Kayla, you mentioned this, and Jeff, I think you did too.
A buddy heater.
I brought in the buddy heater right here, and this one's got even the obligatory.
This is almost a lifeline on it. This is almost a lifeline on a cold morning hunt.
These things have changed a lot of outdoor pursuits. Now, I remember them first being advertised years ago for camping. It showed an older gentleman in a pop-up tent, and then later on some other types of tents, because this thing, the buddy heater, and there's different brands out there now, but it's got an oxygen sensor so you can actually use it in an enclosed area. There's been ways to heat duck boats and blinds for some time, but most of those came with the warning, only use outdoors type stuff, because it's giving off some fumes. These here, oxygen sensor, they got also a little device in it that if it gets knocked over, it's not going to keep burning like some of the others did. It's got some safety. I mean, you can mount it right up on the back side. It's got little places you can put it on a wall. The wall's going to stay cool, and the heat's all going to go forwards. But, wow, if you don't have one of these for ice fishing, for the deer blind, for the goose pit, wherever you might be going,
they're worth the investment.
Get one. Yeah, and I think there's a few on the within our voice. If you go to one of the big box stores, they have some on sale right now. Get them now because they're just going to get more and more popular. The price keeps going up. But these things come in different sizes. I think this is the original size. And, Jeff, I know you've got some bigger ones.
Well, yeah, in our waterfowl blinds, we'll have at least 2 of these, the big size one, the double buddy heaters, in each blind. And I'll tell you right now, you get, you're in a 6x12 wooden blind, and you start these in one of our, even our Kohler blind, or it's a metal pit blind, it comes with heaters, but you put 2 of these in the back of that thing, and I don't think there's a temperature you can't survive comfortably. Most of our waterfowl hunts are in sweatshirts, and I just about doesn't care what the temperature is because we keep these things going full bore.
And they're portable when it's perhaps not as cold as what it's going to be this weekend, but early turkey season hunts, later muzzleloader hunts, that type of stuff. This will go right in one of those portable pop-ups if you've got the space, so you don't have to plug the hole with your face. But they do.
That's old school.
just amazing. They make a smaller version or 2 that are even more portable, but just that glow.
Yeah,
it does kind of warm up the space, folks, but it's made to warm up objects more than anything else, and it really does work in the propane bottles. Obviously, not all that difficult to find, regardless of where you go, and refillable if you do it correctly.
You found out, I think last year, that they make a little grill that goes on the top.
Yeah.
So if you're a goose hunter like Jeff over here that's trying to, migrate over to the deer woods, you can still have your breakfast in the morning over your buddy heater.
We've done a lot of biscuits on our buddy heater, warming up biscuits and all that for biscuits and gravy and whatnot. I want to correct you. I'm a deer hunter that happens to goose hunt.
Sorry, I got that kind of switch.
Make sure we have that distinction. But
that's what his 2 black labs say too.
Right, yes.
We love to deer hunt.
Deer dogs.
Antler retrievers. Anyhow, yeah. Oh boy.
But that is one thing that I think I've got 2 of them, smaller ones like this that I can take around, and I have found the importance because I think I mentioned on the podcast that Leslie and I went on a Thanksgiving goose hunt. We got a little skift of snow right around that holiday as well, and we found a spot that we wanted to try to lure some geese in. And when I told Leslie that I forgot the buddy heater at home, the look on her face told me how important that
was to your marriage. To your marriage.
Yeah, more than just the hunt. Yeah.
Like forgetting the gun at home.
That's right.
Same level.
So now we've got at least one back by the back door that we're almost tripping over, so we never forget it, regardless of what we might be doing outside. What other things do you guys have for staying warm? I love hats. I got a lot of different types of hats, loose hats, stocking caps. I like still having a little brim, so I've got some of those as well. But once you find a good hat, especially a warm hat, hold on to it. Then find some backups to it so you can buy extra. Is what I'm saying. Yeah, because they change hats almost too often.
Yeah, get a good one. Get a favorite one. There's again when you're heating up and you're cold, but you're going to be moving around. I like just a baseball cap because I can not get overheated. But when I'm sitting sedentary, there's hardly anything beats a good stocking cap, and certainly the ones that have a thicker knit to them so that they're windproof a little more. That's my other advice is on windy days, one of your base layers needs to be windproof or your outer layer. But having a windproof layer, I don't care how much fleece you have on, if the wind's blowing right through it and you're a little clammy anyway from working or whatnot, it's cold. But have a windproof layer. Very important. Several of my inner layers are windproof. But a good hat that isn't going to be too heavy or too in the way. Some of my favorite have like a wool liner on the inside, and man, I'll tell you right now, I cover my ears when I have to, but I'm one of those people, I don't want to cover my ears if I don't have to. To me, it's just uncomfortable. I can't hear as well, whatever the case may be. So I've got a couple hats where they roll up, so I don't have to cover my ears. But when those ears are getting cold, they can flip down and cover your ears and warm them up. So
personal preference, that's pretty cool. Yep. And what I've found is it's kind of interesting. There are some materials, the thicker it feels, the heavier it is, the warmer you're going to be. But other times, like you said, if you've got a nice polar fleece with something over top of it that's providing some wind protection, oh man, that's lightweight and super, super warm. All right, we're going to have to kind of put a fork in it. Any last thoughts? Kayla, Michael, any more?
Stay warm.
Stay warm, yep. The one thing I'm going to toss out as kind of my closing thought is if you haven't done a lot of outdoor activity when it's cold, just challenge yourself to try a little bit. You don't have to stay out as soon as, for very long. You don't have to stay out for hours and hours by any means, but just see how long you can stay out and challenge yourself to stay a couple extra minutes. And then the next time you do it, a few more minutes, because I think there's kind of a built tolerance. And once you know what the unknown is, once we kind of realize, okay, here's what's going to happen. I know I can handle this. It's a little easier to stay out a little longer, and that tolerance is built up, and you will be rewarded when it comes to hunting and fishing as well. To spend
See,
more
what
time
you
out
need
there.
is you need a Springer Spaniel that is classified as a snow pup
Oh,
that
there
would
you
rather
go.
be outside frolicking in the snow.
They love that.
Frolicking.
Yep.
There's the term.
So
I
you
like
just
right
go
there.
stand outside with them for 5 or 6 minutes laughing at their antics, and then you go back inside, and then next time you stay out there for 6 minutes.
There you go.
The dog would love to go outside, so they're never disappointed by going outside.
There we go.
Yep.
Dog conditioning.
Yep.
Dog conditioning.
There you go. Dog conditioning.
That's right. It's never more fun to build cold endurance than with a buddy.
Definitely.
Silly enough
Yep.
to go out with you. So
Well, and don't let the weather stop you, right? I mean, there was a time when we as people lived outside all the time. we never had an indoors really, and so it's easy to do. You just got to plan. You just got to plan and prep, and you got to have the right equipment, and that's where clothing becomes equipment. Goes from clothing to equipment, I think, on cold weather. But don't let the weather stop you. I've had some incredible hunts and some horrible weather, and so when you got time to go out, have the equipment that gets you out there.
sounds good. And like I said, we're going to put a ribbon on this one right here. If you've got some thoughts, suggestions, make sure to type them down below. Also, give us a big thumbs up. Check us out on our Hunt Nebraska Facebook page, where we get a lot of information out to hunters and recreational shooters as well. But again, happy 2024, and we'll see you again real soon.
Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.